I'm Paul Rykoff, the CEO and founder of Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America. We're flanked by our members from across the country and across the area and our supporters. We're here to obviously talk about the Clay Hunt SAV Act. These flags in front of me represent really what this movement's been all about. The 22 veterans we lose every day to suicide. Clay Hunt was one of them. Clay Hunt was a friend of mine. Clay Hunt was an IAVA member, and he's been the inspiration behind this fight to provide increased suicide prevention resources for our veterans. And as you've all been seeing, it hasn't been an easy fight. It's been a long fight. There have been some curveballs, but our veterans are tenacious, our supporters are tenacious, and we're going to push forward. So there's been a change, obviously, due to the weather. Senator Blumenthal will provide more details about the plan for the next 24 hours. But what I want to communicate to everyone is that our members are looking forward to seeing a unanimous vote on this bill ASAP. We had Senator Coburn block it at the end of the year, and I think it actually galvanized people across the country. We rang out loud and clear that suicide is a priority for our community and for folks in Washington. So we appreciate Senator Blumenthal's leadership, especially being tenacious on this issue and putting it to the front of the queue. It says a lot that the Senate and Congress are making this one of the first things they take up. We also want to thank Senator McCain for his continued leadership, Chairman Miller, Congressman Walz, and most of all, I want to thank Susan Selke, Clay's mother, who I talked to on the phone yesterday. She's gotten a phone call from the White House Chief of Staff. She's gotten a phone call from Senator McCain. She's talked to most of the folks up here, and they continue to be inspired and appreciative of all the support that they've gotten from across the country. But I just want to let everyone know that no matter what happens with this vote, this is the beginning. It's not the end. We've got to continue to fight forward on suicide. That's what our members continue to tell us. Losing 22 veterans a day is unacceptable. But we hope very soon we're going to have a major victory that we can have for all veterans, and most important, a bipartisan victory that can set things off in the right tone here. Also want to thank Chairman Isakson, who's been a tremendous leader for our community, and I think it's definitely set the right tone on behalf of veterans. So we're looking forward to the next couple of hours and days to get this finally done. We're on the 5-yard line. We all saw yesterday what it means about not quitting, and our veterans aren't going to quit either. It was an inspiration for all of us to see how everyone's come together, and that's only going to continue in the days ahead. With that, I want to pass over to Senator Blumenthal, who's been a tremendous leader for us, to add some remarks. Senator?
Sure. Well, thank you first to Paul and the IAVA. What's really galvanized America and the Congress is the folks you see before us here, our nation's heroes who come back from service all too often with the invisible wounds of war and inner demons that they cannot overcome simply because our nation fails them. And this bill is a first step, a significant first step, but only a first step toward meeting the mental health needs that will enable them to overcome those inner demons that all too often overcome them. And I want to begin by thanking the IAVA for keeping us focused on the need for better mental health care so we can keep faith with our nation's veterans. I want to thank Senator McCain, who has been a steadfast partner in this effort, as well as the Senate chairman, Senator Isakson, who has permitted us to make this bill the very first measure before the Veterans Affairs Committee. And it may well be the first major bill that passes the United States Congress and reaches the President for his signature. That would be a powerful symbol for America of what its commitment should be and what our nation needs to do. And I want to thank our House colleagues, all who have contributed to this effort. The vote has been postponed until noon tomorrow. I think the best way to view it is that the leadership wants to give every single senator the opportunity to vote aye on this measure. Even though it might pass today, every single senator should be given an opportunity to vote to approve this measure. 22 veterans every day commit suicide in the greatest, strongest nation in the history of the world. That is simply unacceptable. And we owe it to all of our veterans to provide this psychiatric help, counseling, outreach, and accountability that this bill will not only enable, but guarantee. Accountability to make sure there's an independent outside review of how the VA is doing, and recruitment of additional psychiatrists so that they can meet those needs that right now remain unmet. This bill is a down payment on all that we need to do, but it offers the tremendous promise that the VA can be a pioneer and champion in mental health care and addressing post-traumatic stress, just as it has done in other healthcare areas, amputee rehabilitation and prosthetics, traumatic brain injury. The VA can be a pioneer and a champion of mental health for the whole nation and the world in providing better diagnosis and treatment in a way that will fulfill the VA's historic mission. So this bill is only the beginning. Paul's absolutely right. And I just want to close by, again, thanking him and the IAVA, as well as advocates like Susan Selke and Joanna Eldridge. Justin Eldridge, a friend of mine, grew up in southeastern Connecticut, and he returned there to his family after he braved and survived mortar attack and sniper fire in Afghanistan. He lost the war at home to those inner demons that came home with him. He took his own life, and he left a family, children and Joanna, who mourn him still. In his memory, as well as Clay Hunt's, and the 22 veterans every day who take their own lives in this country, and the thousands that have succumbed to those invisible wounds, we should pass this bill tomorrow unanimously, and I hope it will be. So I look forward to that moment when we celebrate, and I'm very proud to be here today. Thank you, Paul, and all of the advocates who are here, and all of our nation's heroes. And Bonnie, thank you for being here too. Bonnie Campbell.
Sadly, today we have over 6,000 family members who joined Susan Selke in grieving a loss to suicide. 10 years ago this week, Kim Ruwako lost her husband, Major John Ruwako, who was a Marine Corps Cobra pilot who served in 75 combat missions, came home, and was struggling. He didn't have the provisions of the SAVE Act in place. He lost his battle with post-traumatic stress and died by suicide at Camp Pendleton. Kim's dedicated the past decade of her life to providing comfort, care, hope, and healing to those grieving a loss, but what we all want more than anything is to ensure that there is not one more loss, that all those who have stepped forward to serve in the cause of freedom, all those who have raised their right hand and stepped out above the rest of our society in character and courage, in honor and ability to do something extraordinary with their lives and defend this great nation, are given the support they need when they return. Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Senator Blumenthal, and to all who have advocated for the SAVE Act. It is absolutely critical, and it will change the face of life for our returning veterans. Thank you.
Sir, would you like to say a few words? Just want to. Thank you, sir, for being here.
She's a lot easier on the eyes than I am, I can tell you that. Richard, I want to thank Richard Blumenthal for all that he's done on the Clay Hunt bill. It's been a labor of love for us as ranking member of the committee for Richard, and as chairman for me to do what we did in the first 3 weeks of this session to get a bill that was held up last year out of the committee in regular order and pass a bill that came out of the House rather than have people claim credit for it. So we get it quickly to the president's desk. Was a great effort, and Richard, I commend you on all that you did. John McCain, Richard Burr, John Bozeman did tremendous work on this bill. All of us care very deeply. I was telling somebody the other day when they asked me why I was so interested in this subject, because suicide is something most people don't want to talk about. It's a problem everybody likes to look the other way from, but it's a significant problem. To tell you how big it is in our military, over 8,000 suicides a year are American veterans. That's more individuals who died by their own hand than died by every enemy bullet and every fighter in Afghanistan and Iraq. That shows you how serious the problem is. And this, as was just said, This bill holds accountability at the VA. You have external forces evaluating what they're doing, and you have an increased presence of what we need, and that's more psychiatric doctors working full-time at the Veterans Administration. The continuum of care for a potential victim of suicide is the critical difference, and we've got to see to it the VA has the resources and is held accountable for those resources to see to it there are no more Clay Hunts in America. I am very proud to have been a part of working with a team of people who care very deeply for those who volunteered and risked their lives for my life, and I'm going to do everything I can to use all the political capital I have to see this is just the first step in the ongoing effort by the United States Congress to see to it our veterans get everything they need when it comes to their mental health care and their return to the United States of America. Richard, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Folks, just want to make one final statement. This has been a rough year for our veterans, and this is setting the right tone. It shows that we can come together as Americans, regardless of party. Republicans and Democrats together, united around what we think is the most important issue facing our country, what veterans need. It doesn't matter who you voted for or how you feel about the war, we can all come together behind our veterans, and that's the message that's being put out this week. We invite you all to come back tomorrow. It looks like we'll have a vote sometime around noon tomorrow. Come back here, we'll hope for. If not, check your inbox, check Twitter, we'll keep you updated. But I also want to thank Secretary McDonald. We, on behalf of our membership and everyone involved, appreciate his leadership and his support in this effort. And again, most of all to the veterans. I've never heard from so many veterans who are going to be watching C-SPAN tonight. I mean, they are all fixated on this bill, and they're looking forward to monitoring it and seeing the debate, and most of all, to the conversation that has happened, thanks to the leadership of everyone around this bill. This is a conversation our country needed to happen. And this is not about Clay's death. This is about the inspiration that Clay's life provided. And we all knew him. We worked with him. He actually advocated here in Washington for better mental health care. And it's his inspiration and his leadership and his memory that's going to drive us forward. And we look forward to that vote tomorrow. So please, same bat channel tomorrow. Come back, and we'll do this again. And thank you, most of all, for the folks in the media who've been covering this. You know it's been a winding road, but you've stayed on track, and you've kept us, given us the opportunity to inform the American people about what's happening here. And we really appreciate that. So thank you to everybody and to our members, and please see us here again tomorrow. Thank you, everybody.